Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this lecture, this lab. Welcome back, class. Today we're going to take care of Lab 4, which is installing and configuring DHCP. We're moving right along through our labs. So in this, we're going to be covering a few different exercises, covering creating DHCP 4 scopes, DHCP version 6 scopes, configuring a Superscope, configuring Multicast scopes, creating DHCP reservations, and then also finally wrapping it up with creating a policy. So we're going to be using DC1 and SRV1, which I've already started, as you can see on my lab here. I've got both of them up and logged in already. So let's jump into it. Exercise 4.1 is creating DHCP version 4 scope. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, I'm going to go to DHCP, and I'm going to make my window a little bit larger, make it a little bit easier for us to see what we're doing here. Just move this vertical bar a little bit to the right, and I'm going to select my server. I can now see my work area for IPv4 and IPv6. I'm going to expand the IPv4 node. Okay, so we can see we've got our default scope in here for a datum. I'm going to right click on IPv4 and say New Scope. We see our wizard, we click Next. For our name, we're going to name it Corporate Office. And I'm going to click Next. And for our starting IP address, we're going to type in the value of 10.0.0.1. And then for the end IP address, we're going to use 10.0.0.100. So we can see that it automatically set our subnet length to 8 bits. Why did it do that? So this is question number 1. Where did that value come from? Well, it calculates the subnet mask based on the values that we typed in. We typed in a 10 dot address. What class range does that 10 dot fall into? Yes, a class A address. So it automatically filled in 8 bits or 255.0.0.0 for our subnet. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to change this because we're going to be doing classless. We want to, there's no read. Do you know how many IP addresses this class A lets you use? Well, we're only assigning 100, making 100 IPs available. There's no reason for us to use a class A address. I'm going to type in 24, and you see it automatically changes the subnet mask for me. And at that point, I'll go ahead and click Next. So this is going to restrict it to the 10.0.0 network. And available hosts will be 1 through 100. I'm going to click Next. And on the Add Exclusions and Delays page, I'm going to type in 10.0.0.1, and the ending exclusion address is going to be 10.0.0.10. Now, what would we use this for? Why might we do that? I have to, by the way, click Add to add the excluded address range. Why is it necessary to exclude addresses from the range of addresses that are included in the scope? This is your answer to question 2. Well, for one, your DHCP server itself can't be a DHCP client. So you need to, at the very least, exclude that IP address. So we're going to simulate that 10.0.0.1 is our DHCP server. Well, what about file servers or domain controllers? your servers you want to have excluded because they've already got static IP addresses and you don't want something to try to assign addresses in that range, right? Your exclusion is where you're going to be placing your statically IP configured devices. So your answer for question 2 is excluding this range allows you to manually assign those excluded IPs to devices. Now, would it be possible, this is question number 3, would it be possible to leave the 10.0.0 address as part of the scope and still use it for the DHCP server? The answer is yes, you could. But what you would need to do, and this we'll see later on, you'd have to create what's called a reservation. And a reservation permanently assigns the IP address to MAC address. And that way it will never try to hand that IP address out to any other device. So yes, you can use an address in the scope for the DHCP server by creating a reservation and permanently assigning it to the server's MAC address. I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm on the lease duration. Question 4. What is the default lease duration? Well, it's highlighted right there on your screen. 8. 8 days is the default time. I'm going to click next. On the configure DHCP options, I'm going to leave it selected as yes and click next. It says, hey, what's your default gateway, your router? Well, we're going to use that 10.0.0.1. We're going to hit add. I'm going to hit next. Now it already sees our domain controller in our domain, so we're going to accept that and hit next. For Win servers, we're not adding one, so we're just going to hit next. And do we want to activate it? Yes, we do. We're going to click next and we're going to click finish. So at this point, I'd like everyone to go ahead and take a screenshot showing their new addition of a scope. That goes in step 17. Okay, so I'm going to move this over some more so we can see the full name right there. Okay, so I'm going to select the corporate office and I'm going to click on the address pool. And so here I can see the range of addresses that can be handed out. And you can also see the range of addresses that are being excluded. So with that in mind, what will be the range of addresses that actually get distributed? What is the range of addresses that are actually available to be distributed? Yes, from .11 to .100. Take another screenshot of this. That goes in step 19. We're done with exercise 4.2. I'm sorry, 4.1. Let's do 4.2. We're going to create an IPv6 DHCP scope. So, just the same way as we selected IPv4 to create an IPv4 scope, I'm going to right click on IPv6 after I left click on it once to enable it. I'm going to right click and say new scope. And we're going to name this just the same. We're going to call it corporate office. And I'm going to click next. For the prefix, because this is IPv6, we're going to type in something a little bit different. We're going to do F like Frank, D like dog, 00, colon, colon. And then I'm going to click next. On the exclusions, on the start IPv6 address type, I'm going to type in 0, colon, 0, colon, 0, colon, 1. That's the start. And we're going to click add. Now I'm going to click Next. On the scope lease, what's the preferred time for a scope lease? Well, preferred lifetime is how many days? You've just answered question number 5, 8 days. Let's go ahead and click Next and click Finish. Now I'm going to select the scope. I'm going to select exclusions. So what did that do? It excluded a single address. Take a screenshot of that. That goes in step 9. What do you think that single address was? Yes, that would be the same as us excluding the 10.0.0.1. I'm going to select scope options. After you've taken your screenshot and pasted in, go ahead and click scope options. I'm going to right click on scope options and say configure options. And here's all the various options that we can configure for IPv6. So what I'm going to do is, what we need to do is we need to select the checkbox for DNS recursive name server IPv6 address list option. So we need to look for that. We need to look for DNS recursive name. Oh, that looks right there it is. What is the number? What is the option number for DNS recursive name server IPv6 address list? Yes, the answer for question 6 is 00023. Select that checkbox. In the new IPv6 address that we're going to assign for that, we're going to type in FD00 colon 0 colon 0 colon 10. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't add enough zeros. Colon 0. Okay, so it should be FD00 colon 0 colon 0 colon 0 colon 10 and click Add. Now it's going to wait for validation to complete, and if we get a prompt to confirm that we want to add it, we're going to click Yes. And there's our prompt. We're going to go ahead and click Yes. Now, question number 7. Where did the FD00 colon 0001 address? Oh, and you know what? I believe, yes, this colon 10 is a mistype. I want everyone to click Remove and change that to just 10 or just 1. 0 colon 0 colon 0 colon 1. So FD00 colon 0 colon 0 colon 0 colon 1 and add. That was a typo. That was a typo in their lab. So we're going to wait until we get that prompt again. And there it is. We're going to click Yes. So there's our valid address that we're going to be utilizing. So where did that address come from? Or what is that address? That's the address that's manually assigned to the DHCP server itself. Okay? That's your answer for question 7. This is the IPv6 address manually assigned to the DHCP server itself. So with this still on your screen, take a screenshot and paste that into step 14. Okay, we're done. We go ahead and click OK. And we're done with exercise 4.2. Now we're going to create what's called a Superscope. So this is going to take a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video now, and we're going to pick up exercise 4.3 in our next video. I'll see you in a few moments.